Hi everyone, it's Chelsea here, bringing you another segment of Living in Southwest Florida. If you're thinking of moving to Fort Myers, Cape Coral, or any of the surrounding areas, then you might have been curious about our local attractions. One of the great things about living here are the experiences we get outdoors. So we're going to explore one of my favorites, the Jay and Ding Darling National Preserve on Sanibel Island. The Jay and Ding Darling is one of the largest untouched mangrove ecosystems in the nation. It's vital to our waterways and wildlife, but it's also a part of the protection our local area has for natural disaster. There are over 6,400 acres of preserved mangrove forest, marshes, subtropical hardwood forests, and submerged seagrass beds that are all protected. Of that, more than 40% is completely designated by Congress as a federal wilderness area. If you're unfamiliar with what a wilderness area is, then let's say a national park. Let me explain. A national park is a federally designated preserved land that is focused on preserving the land for people to enjoy experiences outdoors. The wilderness area is a federally designated preserved area that is not. Instead, the focus is on preserving the land. As the Wilderness Act of '64 puts it, it's an area where the earth and its community of life are untrampled by man, where man himself is a visitor who does not remain. So basically, almost half of the preserve is wilderness area and the rest are more explorable. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and share with you the park, but before I do, really quickly, it would mean a lot to me if you could go ahead and hit that like button so that YouTube algorithms share this information with others and it lets me know what you like more of. And I wouldn't be good at my job if I didn't remind you how much we love helping people from all over the country buy and sell their homes here in Southwest Florida. So if you or anyone you know of are even thinking about moving, then feel free to use the contact information below. All right, let's jump right in. My kids and I had the best time. This is us up on one of the observation decks, but before we get to here, let me show you how we got there. Here we are at the map at the front of the park. Right when you get to the park, the very first thing that you'll find is going to be their education center and welcome center. And this is right in front to kind of show you where you're at. This education center was absolutely beautiful. It's open from 9 to 4 every single day. And they just have this fantastic display both about Jay and Ding Darling and about the park itself. The staff was super friendly. This week that we had been is Halloween week, and so it was Bat Week. And they had some really great stickers that the kids absolutely loved for Bat Week. We all were able to take one home. My son here is actually telling her that we are here to find a Roseate Spoonbill. My husband and I have this app called Merlin on our phones that tracks birds. And in order to get the kids excited about our hikes, we discussed that we were going to be finding the Roseate Spoonbill today, which is a bird we're missing on the apps. And since Daddy doesn't have it on his yet, they were very excited to beat him. Before we went looking, though, we explored the rest of the center. This is all about Jay and Ding Darling. And then you've got some more about, wildlife within the park and what we could expect to find throughout the park. For those who don't know who Ding Darling was, he was a political cartoonist who won multiple Pulitzers for his cartoon work and was a conservationist. And he eventually led the U.S. Biological Survey, which was the forerunner for U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. He also created the U.S. duck stamps, which help take the money from the duck stamps and create refuge. So duck stamps here are really popular. And learning about the birds is really popular. And they had a lot of really great displays for all of these things, both about Ding Darling and about the park itself and about the conservation efforts. My kids loved that these flipped up and they could read a little bit more about each of them on the plaques. Not only do we have the migratory birds in the park, but we also have sea turtles. And not to be outdone are manatees. The seagrasses here over Ending Darling are a big area for them to find food. If you're coming to visit the area, then it would be really wise to come check out this park because you will have the most opportunities to see wildlife in their natural state. Here's a little bit about his cartoon work, and you can even take a picture with him himself. They also have some of his cartoons, and they also have his voice because he do a lot of diction. This is about the federal duck stamp program. He actually drew the very first duck stamp, which is that top big one on the left. And then every year it is a contest, and so here are the winners from since the program really began. This year, the winner was Joe Houtman. Him and his brother Jim were actually in the park the week prior for Art in the Wild. They had a lot of art being done both live and doing different exhibits. And I'm going to show you that in just a second. This was some information about the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services since he was such an integral part of it. There are really great kids displays too. This was a touch table so they could feel things that they could find in the park. They also had the Build a Bird section. They could make funky birds or try to make them as they're supposed to. There was the cartooning that I showed you just a few minutes ago. This was where they could create like a scratch thing with the crayons. They had a lot of fun. And then, as I mentioned, they did have some art in the Wild the week before. They did have displays from Joe and Jim Houtman. And then they also had these displays from art that had been created the weekend prior that you could vote for your favorite. My son really liked number 6, and my daughter really liked number 8. I'd love to hear which one is your favorite. Leave it in the comments. And before you leave, don't forget the gift shop. This is how a lot of the Parks and Rec system makes some money to help take care of the park. So if you can, feel free to shop and find something for your next birthday party or for your next souvenir. After leaving the visitor center, we headed directly into the park. Now, the park is actually like a 4-mile drive. It's a one-way road where you drive in, and then there's different points along the road that you can stop, get out, take a look at the animals, go on a hike, go take your boat and go fishing, whatever it may be. So it is a cost to drive down the road. It's a $10 cost per vehicle. Or you can hike into that first trail, which is Indigo Trail. I believe that's $1. This pricing is current as of October 2023, so that could always be subject to change. And here we are pulling up to the little gate that you go to pay the fee to get into the park. It's right at the Indigo Trail too, so if you are walking in, you would have also just gone down this little road and had parked at the visitor center. And then those gates or the posts right there to stop people from coming in, that's the beginning of the trailhead. So So we did decide to pull over. Whenever you come to the park and you want to pull over to take a look at something, you just pull over to the right-hand shoulder. That way cars can park on your, or keep going on your left. And so that's what we did, and we went and checked out the Indigo Trail. The Indigo Trail is kind of shaped like an L. It is about 2 miles if you do the whole thing, but about 3/10 of a mile in from that trailhead at the beginning of the park is a wildlife educational boardwalk with tower. So that's where we decided to go check out. There is wetlands along each side of this path, so there can be alligators. Make sure you stay on the path. And there's also the wading birds and other wildlife that you can explore and see. We didn't make it to the full 2 miles because my 5-year-old was not going to do that. But if you do, there is another pavilion further down and restrooms. There's the Cross Dyke Pavilion. And those are kind of cool to check out, and another observation tower. This is a male inhinga, which are our snake birds. And then right here, it looks to be a female inhinga because she's more brown. And I believe this one is a common gallinule. Here's that wildlife educational boardwalk. If you do come during the more stagnant months, please remember to bring some bug spray. It can get a little buggy, especially with those no-see-ums. We did end up with some bites on us. We left the bug spray in the car and forgot to put it on, and we're regretting that decision. But along this path, you can see that there were the little flip-ups. Those are really cool for the kids to check out scat, because let's face it, when you're doing a nature walk, you're going to come across scat at some point, and it was really helpful for them to be able to figure out which ones were which. Here's that observation tower at the top, and we could see quite a few birds. I can't really show them, but we could see some egrets and some ibis further down. We're just not recording well. And then over here is another inhinga. Really quickly, I'm going to let you take a moment and listen to the gallinules talk to each other. After leaving the Indigo Trail, we did drive along the road. There's some really beautiful views along the way. This is what the trail kind of looks like, or the road kind of looks like as you drive along it. And then we weren't the only people who were exploring the park. There were lots of kayakers out there, also checking things out, and fishermen. This guy looked like he was doing both. The views were just stunning. There are still some trails closed from Hurricane Ian. Mangrove Overlook and the Calusa Shell Mound Trail are both still closed, but the drive is still available. Indigo Trail is still available. Wolford Key Trail is still available, so there is still things to do in the park. Here along the way, near the mudflats, is an observation tower. This is the mudflats, which is the part that you can see when you do the live stream, which they have in the in the Welcome Center. And the views were just beautiful. My kids loved using these, and those are free to use. You don't have to pay like a quarter like you do some places. There were birds in the trees, and we saw our spoonbill. Woohoo! Look at all of the fish jumping. There were so many. I'm assuming these are mullet, but they were really jumping all over the place, so the kids enjoyed watching that as well. They were really hard to get on camera, but this guy cooperated a little bit. Here's some fishermen out there. Since we saw the Roseate, but we could not get it on camera from the observation center, we did work our way a little bit closer. I love how these fishermen are being spied on by a great blue heron. And then we also have our spoonbill. Finally found them. It was a great day. He's hanging out with some egrets as well. And we were really excited that we were able to find him. I hope you enjoyed that tour of Dating Darling. If you have a favorite spot that I couldn't visit or that I've forgotten about, then please leave it in the comments below so that we can be sure to let people know how awesome it is. I have a brand new 96-page beautiful guide for moving to Lee County that has been a huge labor of love for me. If you'd like your own copy, then the link is found on the link tree below. And if you have any questions about the data, or if you'd like to drill down and compare specific neighborhoods like, say, Cape Coral versus Fort Myers, or waterfront homes or pool homes, or whatever the specific circumstances call for, then feel free to use that contact information below as well. Myself and the network of agents that I have throughout the United States are here and ready to help you with the move. My video schedule can sometimes be a little erratic, so if you'd like more videos like this, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you'll be notified when we drop another one. If you are ready to get that ball rolling with your move to Southwest Florida, then there's a link in the description below to set up a personalized home search that would be tailored to you. Oftentimes when you search on web aggregates, it limits your capabilities. But when I build out this search with you, we're gonna have many options to be able to explore, and we can begin to have a conversation on what your home in Florida will look like. Or feel free to use Cape Coral, Fort Myers, realestate.com for all the latest listings to hit the market and begin getting comfortable with our marketplace. There's no obligations. And don't forget to add me on social media and follow along as we post weekly and sometimes daily articles and information and other videos that you may find handy and give you some insight as to what life in Florida looks like. As always, we really appreciate it when you leave us a comment and you hit that like button, subscribe button, and notification bells so that you can be notified when we drop future videos. As always, thanks so much for watching. Until next time, I wish you much health and happiness.